You like the little beanie?
You want Philly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Philly special. Ready? Here we go. Easy. Kill. Money.
But that was a taste of what he was supposed to be.
Last year hurts.
Oh, and how this will all work out. Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see the first play if they don't try to give the football to Terrell Owens.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Trending for Four Quarters right here on DSM Media. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel, as always. A jam-packed show that is not going to stay on target at all because I'm joined by three great guys. That this conversation, where I have a list of notes here, this conversation is all over the place and everywhere. Who knows what's going to happen tonight? But real quick, got to take care of some business. We are brought to you by Manscaped, the leader, the GOAT, the Michael Jordan of men's grooming needs. Okay, use promo code TRENDING at checkout. It lets them know that I sent you from Trending for Four Quarters. To get you 20% off and free shipping. The holidays around the corner. Thanksgiving's next week. It means Christmas will be here before you know it. Make sure you get the man in your life, or even just get yourself the stuff that you need to make somebody else very happy. I mean, we've already shown Jake here and how he needs a little bit of manscaping down there, you know. So anyway, make sure you use promo code TRENDING again, manscaped.com. So that's that. Now let me introduce these guys. First, below me, we got Jason Vorhees from the Sports and Metal podcast and the Drunk on Ice podcast. My man, I love Jason at Mustang3651, one of my best friends on this podcasting world and journey that we're going on here. Welcome, Jason.
Excited to be here as always, man.
I appreciate it. And then on the other side of the screen, we got the Talking 215 crew, Jake and Joey, Muscle Men, Muscle Mountain. I think there's like a wrestling team out there called Muscle Men or Muscle Mountain or something like that. So they're rocking their guns here tonight on DSM Media.
Oh yeah, super happy to be joining you. And yeah, I have the lawnmower 2.0. Might have to use that code upgrade to the 3.0.
They have a 4.0 now. If you're still at the 2.0, you missed the 3.0. It's time to get to the 4.0 for you.
Hey, gotta use that promo code. Get the 20%
I think it's
off.
waterproof. You can take it in the shower. It's got a little LED light. All the great stuff there.
I tell you, need that light. Get lost down there.
Oh man, Joey, I promise to not mention T-shirt gate more than 6 or 7 times tonight.
I'm telling you, that's why I didn't wear any sleeves today, because I knew if we were going to talk about T-shirts, I had to come correct, just like my boy Jake. I'm happy to be on with you guys, Phil, Jason, Jake, as always, man. Let's get it. I'm excited.
All right, so tonight's topic, the main topic, before we get into keys for the Eagles-Saints Week 11 matchup, is trending. Really, really creative term on Trending for Four Quarters. The topic is trending, and the Eagles team that seems to be, even though they're 1-2 in their 2-1 in their last 3 games, they seem to be trending in the right direction. So what I want to do is I want to bring up a lot of different players and coaches. I want to get your guys' take on whether the guys that are trending in the right direction, whether it's time to get excited or pump your brakes kind of, feeling on them. And then we're also going to bring up some of the guys that are trending downward and the same thing. Should we pump our brakes on them trending down, or is it a serious level of concern going forward this year and into next? So I want to just start. We're just going to go clockwise. We'll start with Joey, and then we'll go around. Let's start right at the top. The main guy calling the plays on offense, Nick Sirianni. His play calling has definitely seemed to be trending in the right direction. This past week, the best in my opinion, because he wasn't just all run heavy or all pass heavy. He had a really good mix of both. Joey, is it a positive trend to get excited about, or should we pump our brakes on Nick Sirianni?
I think it's absolutely a positive trend to get excited about, because if you think about it, not only has our offensive output and rushing yards increased over the last 3 to 4 to 5 weeks, but we've also been doing this without Zach Ertz, who we traded. We've also been doing this without Miles Sanders, who's our best running back, without Brandon Brooks, without Stefan Wisniewski. So you want to talk about a new head coach and play caller who comes in here with a super young quarterback and has the entire Eagles fan base saying, we want more, we want more. Mm-hmm. And him being able to do that, lead it in the right direction, change it up from being a pass-happy offense to a run-heavy offense that fits this scheme and this talent. Guys, if I told you that the Eagles lead the entire NFL in explosive plays this year, would you believe me?
Nope. But I know it's true.
But they do. 98 explosive plays. That goes 16-yard passes, 10-yard runs combined. It's the Philadelphia Eagles, guys. Yeah. So if you're looking as far as trending, that's number one in the NFL right there. Number one in the NFL in rush offense as well. And like I said, doing this without a Zach Ertz, doing this without a Miles Sanders and those two hogs up front I mentioned. So my hat's off to Nick Sirianni. I think he's definitely trending in the right direction, and you could see it, what he's getting out of these young guys. So absolutely trending up.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said there, because I've been saying it since day one that I bought into Nick Sirianni, the leader, the man, the practice guy, but we needed to see it on the field, and it was definitely a struggle at first. Jake, do you agree with your partner Joey there on that it's definitely a positive thing to get excited about?
Oh, certainly. No, I mean, Joey will certainly nod his head at this. We talk about it all the time. The number one real sign of intelligence in a coach is the ability to adapt and to change what you originally thought was going to work to what's going to be working later on. And we talk about it a lot on Talking 2 and 5. We were saying, especially with Gannon, and it seems like, and I'll get to Gannon later, I'm sure he's going to be a topic of our discussion.
He's on the list.
But specifically about Sirianni, like Joey touched on, from a pass-heavy Jalen Hurts quarterback that really shouldn't be throwing it more than 25 times, hitting like 35, 40 times. And you would have Miles Sanders, who, knock on wood, is coming back this week, averaging 4.8 yards per attempt. And they just weren't using it. We called it the 12-carry barrier. They weren't passing that 12-carry barrier for any of their running backs. And sure, last week you only had Jordan Howard hitting that 12-carry barrier and Boston Scott hitting 11. But combined, we're averaging almost 40 rushing attempts per game between the three backs and Hurts included. And it's just showing like he's really kind of taking in the information, diagnosing it, seeing what he's got, and changing his game plan accordingly very successfully. So I certainly think he's trending up. And as Joey was saying, as we get these guys back a little bit healthy with Miles Sanders, hopefully, our line, I don't even say like getting some of our big pieces back, because our line has really been playing well over the past number of weeks. Yeah. So we'll start to really see a fully healthy offensive unit and get to see the full potential of what Nick Sirianni can do. So I certainly think he's trending in the right direction.
You bring up the offensive line. I put it as one of my, depending on time to bring up, the offensive line is trending in the right direction without Sayamalu, without Brandon Brooks. And it's funny. Look at last year compared to this year, even the last couple years in this year. We've actually had the same 5 guys starting several weeks in a row, and those guys start to get a little rhythm together.
Yeah.
Jack Driscoll and Landon Dickerson. These guys, you starting to see a trend. Once an offensive line is a cohesive unit playing regularly together, man, it's unstoppable.
I'm a big Jack Driscoll guy. Jack Driscoll guy.
Which we can talk about that, because I'm curious about the Jack Driscoll once Brandon Brooks comes up. But Jason, thoughts? Is this going to be a perfect 4-for-4? Because it might be the only time we all agree 4-for-4. That's a positive trend with Nick Sirianni.
I mean,
he might say no, it's not a positive trend.
No, I was just going to say, if you asked me this question like 3 weeks ago, I would have had a totally different answer. And I guess my thing on this is better late than never. I mean, to me, listen, you know me, I'm very critical of people when they're wrong. And I was extremely critical of, we could talk about it. Extremely critical of Sirianni. But, I mean, hey, he's running the ball. Like, his play calling, how can we complain? I mean, these guys did an awesome job with their assessments. I mean, Joey, you do a phenomenal job. I've been watching your, Talking 215. You are amazing with your analysis.
Thank you, bro.
I'm not super, I don't know the ins and outs of all the terminology and stuff, but what I do know is that Sirianni has definitely adapted. He's definitely adjusted, and he's definitely putting Jalen Hurts in a better position to see what we have with Jalen Hurts. Because let's face it, we all agree nobody's actually at the point yet where we can say Jalen Hurts is the guy moving forward for a long term.
But that's a great segue to the next person. Jalen Hurts has been trending in the right direction the last 2 or 3 weeks as well. You start to see little glimpses of him staying in the pocket a little bit longer, rolling out and not scrambling, letting his receivers and tight ends get open. And I think that goes back to Nick Sirianni's play calling trending in the right direction, but also Jalen Hurts trending in the right direction, right, Jason?
I mean, I agree. I'm a diehard Hurts guy. I mean, I've been on the Hurts train for a long time, and a lot of people still, I hear a lot of people still saying, "Oh, he doesn't have arm strength," and I don't agree with that because I've seen some of the throws that he makes. I mean, that one throw, and it was earlier in the season. It was before they actually got on this good run where they were actually running the ball, where he threw it to Smith. In the end, I believe it was like a 2-point conversion. It might have been week 4 or 5, but he's got arm strength. I don't think arm strength is ever the problem. I think Jalen Hurts' whole issue has always been the fact that Sirianni was kind of having him try to throw the ball 30 to 40 times. And it's just not going to work with a guy like Jalen Hurts. Not that he can't do that ever. I mean, maybe down the line when he gets better at, reading defenses and, going through his progressions. But I think it's not a coincidence that Jalen Hurts is playing better with the fact that they brought up, Jordan Howard and they're pounding the rock. Yeah. I mean, and, to me, what is the best offense and way to fix a team when they're struggling? Play to their strengths. Yep. We all know that this offensive line is great at run blocking. Hence,
it's working. Yeah, it's working. So, Jake, are you going to say continue to get excited about Hurts? Or are you going to say pump the brakes on Hurts? Because it's just been really 2 to 3 weeks of that positive, progression for him.
I would say certainly trending in the right direction. And to touch on what Jason said with him having arm strength, I would argue there's 2 different things. A lot of people say he has arm strength, and he does. He can throw the ball 60 yards. But to me, there's a big difference between a deep ball and arm strength. Mm-hmm. If any quarterback in the NFL has time to set their feet, go through the fundamentals, and release a ball, they should be able to throw it at least 60 yards, guaranteed. Arm strength, to me, is when you can get it there when you don't have your feet perfectly set, where you're on the move. He can throw a deep ball, but arm strength is something that I haven't seen fully yet. When he has time, that's a tight spiral. I mean, you saw it on that Devontae Smith touchdown over Patrick Surtain. Dan Orlovsky did a wonderful breakdown, and this is what to touch on, Jason, what you were saying, where he's going through his reads, not just abandoning the pocket right away. On that play to Dallas Goedert, where he was, I mean, we'll all agree was a very dirty hit as a result of it. But he reads, you can see, he reads through his progressions. His number one read was a deep comeback route, and then he had Goedert going with the deep cross. He reads through his progressions, sees what the defense is doing, had a little bit of pressure coming at the end where early you'd call him Jalen, roll out to the right by any means possible, Hurts. He stood in the pocket, eyes downfield, delivered a strike. And so, yeah, he does have arm strength. That thing was flying in there, and you've seen plenty of times to Goddard as well, where he's throwing short-range missiles at him from 10 yards when he could just do a nice little floating pass. Right. But to go back to pump the brakes or trending, certainly trending in the right direction. Jason, you hit it spot on. They're putting him in the best position to succeed by embracing the run and not requiring him to do so much with 35, 40 passes a game. And then to kind of go back to Nick Sirianni and Hurts combined, Nick Sirianni is doing a lot better job of less RPOs and more pre-snap motion, which gives Jalen Hurts the opportunity to see what the defense is doing in reaction to that pre-snap motion. So it's better play calling, and it's allowing your quarterback to better see what's in front of him and execute.
Yeah, I think the whole arm strength thing is coachable because it's all about fundamentals, arm strength. And that's where we've seen the passes that we say he doesn't have arm strength or because he's fallen away. He's not set his feet. He's not doing X, Y, and Z. But you could see that when he mentally is focused and sets his feet and does the fundamentals correctly, he puts the ball on target more often than not. Joey, where are you with this Jalen Hurts trend or not trend right now?
Yeah, I mean, like if I'm just breaking down tape and I'm just watching Jalen Hurts specifically, I got to go. He's trending upwards. He's trending in the right direction, and he's trending in the direction that's going to make Howie Roseman's life very, very difficult this offseason if he keeps trending this way, because that's the ultimate decision on who's going to be the quarterback next year or of the future. And right now it's trending towards Jalen Hurts. And I wasn't even a big Hurts guy. You know, there's a famous QB guru / quarterback coach. His name's Quincy Avery. He works with a lot of quarterbacks in the offseason. He trains them for the draft. You name it. He works on fundamentals, tools, everything. And he has a famous quote where he says, "Are you a quarterback or are you a thrower of the football?" There's a big difference between those two. And I think a lot of times fans, we get lost in that fact, that the fact that some circus freak can throw it 85 yards, but at the same time, he can't throw a 10-yard out. I think last game against the Broncos, Jalen Hurts put on a QB clinic as far as quarterbacking, not throwing it 100 yards. Has he had games where he's thrown for more yards? Yes. More touchdowns? Yes. More highlight plays? Yes, absolutely. But if we're just looking at quarterbacking, and the job of a quarterback is to lead your team down the field, lead your team against adversity, get everybody set up in the right spots to be successful and score, Jalen Hurts did that. It was one of his best performances. And also, I know a lot of the times in Philadelphia, we scream out things like, just run the ball, just run the ball, just run the ball. And it could be monotonous. It could be redundant. You can't just run it all the time. However, we would be stupid to think if a powerful run game doesn't help every single quarterback ever that's ever played this game on the planet. So let's not just say that Jalen Hurts needs a good run game to succeed. Every dang quarterback on the planet needs a good run game. Absolutely. I don't care if you're a mobile Peyton Manning or I don't care if you're Michael Vick. But the fact that Jalen Hurts has such an athletic and great lower body to run the ball makes him that much more dangerous with a run game compared to other quarterbacks. So trending up.
Yeah, I like how you brought up with the Broncos game specifically, because it's not like the Broncos defense is a slash defense. Even with Von Miller not there, there's still a really well-touted defense with some great playmakers on it. And he still was able to, because I really think it's the quarterback coach probably in football is probably out of all sports, the game and the sport, where the head coach and the most important player on the team have to be in sync for success. They have to be on the same page. And you're starting to see that the last couple of games, and the Denver game, most importantly, that they were on the same page 110%. And that gives Jalen Hurts more confidence going forward. So I think it's – I agree 100%. You know, actually, we're 2 for 2 on agreeing on everything here so far. So now comes the tricky part, because the next one, I'm lumping 5 people together in the next trending up or pump the brakes or trending down, however you want to look at it. I'm lumping Davian Taylor and TJ Edwards as one, because everybody's talking about how great they've played the last week or two. Okay. I'm putting Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave together because we've seen obviously Cox downward trend lately. And honestly, Javon Hargrave has had a little downward trend the last couple of weeks. And Jonathan Gannon, their defense coordinator, who's just terrible in my opinion and can't get anything right. So, we could start with Davian Taylor and TJ Edwards and then move into the linemen and all. You know, Edwards and Taylor trending up, Cox, Hargrave trending down. I say personally, pump the brakes on both, because Taylor and Edwards have played better, but still I'm not sold on them being elite linebackers or trending towards that eliteness. And Cox and Hargrave, I still think with a proper defensive scheme, can be better. So the common denominator, Jonathan Gannon there. Jake, you're shaking your head yes. What do you think there?
I agree. Pump the brakes on thinking that TJ Edwards and Davian Taylor are the future at the linebacker position.
Hold on, I've heard people say now we don't need to draft a linebacker in the first round. I've heard people say that we that Howie Roseman has found these gems, which he may have found, but they're good players. They're not great players or elite players yet, in my opinion, just because of 2 improved games.
They're very raw. They're very athletic, and they're very small for that position. That's like they are. They are. And with that, you get that athleticism. You tend to see the more athletic linebackers are a little bit undersized. Hence, lighter you are, usually the faster you go. So I agree, pump the brakes on crowning them as our future at linebacker. You saw what happened with Alex Singleton at the end of last season. I mean, he was one of our players to watch this season. He was one of our breakout candidates at the beginning of the year. That was also partially as a result of the signing of, or the hiring of Jonathan Gannon. And we touched on how we thought he would be able to bring, elevate everybody's ability, because according to Jonathan Gannon, he doesn't have a defensive scheme. He plans his defense around what his players do best. That's bullcrap. So pump the brakes on both of them. Yes, they're trending in the right direction, but that direction is more towards
being contributors.
That direction is just more towards, okay, we have a guy that's not going to get cut. Like before, you have no idea who is going to be linebacker. That's why you had Alex Singleton coming up from the practice squad, previously coming up from the Canadian Football League. So with them, I certainly am in the pump the brakes category. But trending up in regards of, okay, they are NFL caliber, but not any kind of elite, everyday, lockdown linebackers. Defensive line, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargraves. Fletcher Cox obviously didn't get to the quarterback very well last game. Had one of his better games in just tackling. You could see he was gassed out there, like a lot of our team was in that high altitude. They're really heaving.
And he played 79% of the snaps on defense, which I've been talking on every show since last year on previous networks, that Hargraves at his best when he's playing 55, 58% of the snap count on defense. And all year this year and last year, he's in that 75, 80%. And add in Denver's up, high altitude, that's not a recipe for success.
No, not at all. Not at all. And we talked all offseason about how we're going to have two great units, be able to rotate them interchangeably. We're going to be getting pressure nonstop. Jonathan Gannon breaking out stunts and different packages to be able to dial up pressure. So Fletcher Cox did a better job in being able to shed a blocker and make a tackle on a runner. Getting to the quarterback is still something that he's been struggling with all year. Javon Hargraves seems to be taking a pretty big step back. So I would say pump the brakes on them for right now. I'm not in the camp where a lot of people are of, cut Cox, trade Cox right now. Certainly somebody that you're going to keep a very close eye on. And you really can't with the contract situation that you're in with him. But then Jonathan Gannon, you can't trend any direction with him. Like there is no direction of trend with Jonathan Gannon. We talked on our last episode. When he's not afraid of a quarterback, he's willing to do press man coverage, willing to send some serious blitz packages. You saw that with Goff. You saw that with Darnold. You saw that with Bridgewater. And you even saw it with Matt Ryan a little bit. But any of the quarterbacks that are the big names, the Daks, the Bradys, the Mahomes, the Herberts, he goes right back to that cover two shell. Trevor Siemian is not someone he should ever be afraid of. I don't care how well he played last week. So I'm hoping this will be the first back-to-back games that he is aggressive. You'll see it 1 week and you'll think, great, we're trending in the right direction. And then he'll go right back to it. So that's why I'm saying there is no trend with him whatsoever. That was very long-winded.
No, you made some great points. I do want to disagree. I think Cox and Hargrave had a better game last week than they're given credit for. The theme all season, outside of Hargrave the first couple of weeks, is that, they don't blitz. But the last couple of games, they have gotten pressure on the quarterback. They just haven't gotten home. And that's the problem. They're 1 second late. They're not putting their arms up to deflect.
I play more like Derek Barnett.
Yeah, well, Derek Barnett gets home 1 second too late and gets another personal foul called on him, which that foul, in my opinion, last week, the personal foul call, if he wasn't Derek Barnett with the reputation of Derek Barnett, that's probably not a personal foul call. But that was a reputation call, not an actual call. Jason, do you agree with Jake on what he's saying about the linebackers and the defensive line, where let's pump the brakes on anointing and pump the brakes on Cox and Hargrave?
I got to be honest. I'm in total agreement. I think, honestly.
And I thought we had some disagreements here on this one here.
Well, the only thing I will say, I'm not ready to give. I agree. I'm not ready to cut Fletcher Cox, but I will say that it's extremely disappointing to see a guy that's making the kind of money that he's making. Now, I understand that players age, and they slow down, but I'm just not seeing it from Cox as far as I'm not seeing the energy. Now, I know a couple weeks back, he kind of called out Gannon and, his play calling. But to me, when you're the number one paid player on the team, I need to be getting more from.
Actually, I think Carson Wentz is the number one paid player on this team right now. I'm just going to throw that out there. I think Cox is second to Carson Wentz.
Okay, well,
I don't know.
Well, if that's the case, but even so, I just need more from Fletcher Cox. Now, I will say, coming into this season, we were all told that the defensive line was our number one strength on this Eagles team. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Kerrigan has totally sucked. I don't even know why did we even sign the guy? Obviously Washington must have known that he just didn't have it anymore because he's been non-existent. I mean, obviously nobody predicted that Brandon Graham, the heart and soul of the defense, was going to get injured. So that definitely hurt. But I find it hard to believe that losing Brandon Graham made this defensive line go from elite to a little above average or even average.
Below average some weeks.
We all know about Derek Barnett. I mean, I'm definitely out on him. I mean, I'm not saying that I know a lot of times I've said that he's a bust, and I know it's hard to say a guy's a bust that made one of the biggest plays in the Super Bowl, actually recovering that fumble. But the guy, realistically, all he does is get penalties, and he doesn't sack the quarterback. And to me,
always him.
You need.
I think he's got more career penalties than he does sacks at this point in his career, and we're coming to the end of his fourth year on the team.
Yeah, so I mean, he's another guy that I'm definitely out on. And then obviously Josh Sweat, he's kind of like the X factor for me. He's
trending
a guy
down.
Well, he is trending down, but
he's on my trending down list right now.
He's young enough that I think he still has that talent there. It's just a matter of can he tap into that talent? But overall, I think this defense, I'm out on Gannon. I think he's trending like Jake said. There's no trending up and there's no trending down. He's just terrible.
Yeah. Joey, where are you with the linebackers, the defensive line, and Gannon?
I can't wait to hear this.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to hit you guys with a little bit of something different here, okay?
Okay, good. I want different. I'm waiting,
So I don't know whether to call it trending up or down, but I do want to say this. If you've noticed.
Do we lose him there?
That day more tackles, they're making more hits at the line of scrimmage. That's actually because Javon Hargrave and Fletcher Cox are taking up responsibility of multiple linemen. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a psycho, guys. I watched the game 700 times after it's done, offense, defense, special teams. I try to break down everything in my head so I have stuff to talk about with me and Jake on the podcast. And Hargrave and Cox, they're not getting to the quarterback. They're not making plays in the backfield. But these guys are being double-teamed and having gap assignment football so that guys like TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor can come clean. So that they can come clean and show up on tape. There's a reason you're now seeing the linebackers making plays behind the line of scrimmage, and it's called complementary football. So I know as fans, we want to see the guys that we paid a lot of money to, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, in the backfield living, but they're playing complementary football to where they're taking up two guys, playing a numbers game, and now our linebackers can come clean. It's actually very refreshing to see because we all the time are never seeing the linebackers make plays. We're so used to our D linemen making plays. Mm-hmm. I will also say, so I don't know whether the linebackers and those two D tackles are trending up or staying the same. I don't know how to put it. I could just put it to you this way, that both of their successes mirror each other. I'll put it to you that way because of how that works coinciding. Now,
I do like that comparison right there for sure. Because Cox and Hargrave haven't had numbers-wise great games lately. But I noticed what you're saying in the game against Denver there, where you had 3 or 4 guys blocking Cox and Hargrave, and they weren't getting home per se, but they were able to, at least like you said, take up 4 guys that have to block them. So, yeah, it's great.
And you guys know what an angry tweeter I am. Like, all of you know what an angry tweeter I am. So during the game, I was ready to tweet something really bad about Fletcher Cox because I saw him push back 4 yards from the line of scrimmage. And then when I went back and looked at the tape, I was like, I need to see this play because I'm going to rip Fletcher Cox here. Right. He had 2 guards and a center, triple teamed on Cox. Now, I'm not saying that's because of Fletcher Cox. I'm saying their play design was to double team one person and someone else missed their assignment and triple teamed him with them. So
I know exactly what play you're talking about because I was ready to blast him for that play as well.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I can live with that because it's 11 on 11. That means there's 8 other guys for, or 10 other guys of us for 8 of theirs, and the quarterback isn't one of them. Long story short, I don't know what to say about those 2 position groups, but Jonathan Gannon, I I came into this season with such big high hopes for Jonathan Gannon because around league circles, he was talked about as a genius. He was talked about as the Sean McVay of defensive coordinators, a young up-and-coming guy that gets the best out of his players, every single thing. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Javon Hargrave having to play 2-gap. I'm looking at Josh Sweat having to play 5-eye tech. I'm looking at, Eric Wilson being in drop coverage. I'm looking at 3rd and 3 and we're in a cover 3 or cover 4 basis defense. So I'm like, what are you doing to get the best out of these guys? Jake said it perfectly, and it's probably because him and I talk 24/7. But I want to see back-to-back good Jonathan Gannon games. That's it. Don't give me a good game against Teddy Bridgewater and then have the Saints come in here and light you up for 40 points. Don't give me a good game against Sam Darnold and then have Pat Mahomes score 50 on you. Give me back-to-back good games. I'll say this. Trevor Siemian should never come into Lincoln Financial Field against any Eagles team ever, regardless of the record, and win a football game. That's it.
We haven't won a game yet this year at Lincoln Financial Field, so we'll get into that Saints game in a little bit here. So I want to go real quick with one more thing on the defense, and we're going to swing back to the offense. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this. I want to say on the defensive backs, I don't think Darius Slay is trending up because I already thought he was elite. He's doing exactly what I thought. I think he got a bad rap last year because he was stuck one-on-one against so many elite wide receivers. Darius Slay is exactly what I expect. So he's not trending up because he is up there in my opinion. I want to talk about Vontae Maddox. And, I think he's trending up. They finally moved him back to where he needed. Steven Nelson as outside cornerback, getting Maddox in the slot. I've seen some really good glimpses of the old Vontae Maddox the last couple of weeks where we saw him his rookie year playing in the right position and playing well. Really quickly, do you guys agree or disagree with that? Jake?
I agree.
It's a pretty simple answer, right?
Yeah, there's really not much to be said. He's silently having a phenomenal year, and it's only silent because nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
And there's really no reason for them not to, just because he's not getting all these crazy takeaways. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know he has at least one forced fumble, maybe 2, and he's really holding people to very few yards. He's doing exactly what he should. It's one of the only examples of putting a player on defense in their best position to succeed.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted about it a couple times. I believe actually you and I talked about it on one of your early DSM shows before the season too, that, he was a guy that I thought could have great success in the slot. Mm-hmm. That's where he has had most of his success prior. And obviously, I think it's exactly what, Jake just said. Like, when you put guys in positions where they're, able to, do what they know how to do, that's what you get. So obviously, when you had him on the outside, that's not something that that's not his game. Mm-hmm. And, we saw how he struggled there. But, you brought in Steven Nelson and, Darius Slay. I agree. I have to agree with you. I think Darius Slay has always been,
I think he gets very underrated for how great he is.
Well, he's an upper echelon guy just because a cornerback doesn't have 8 or 9 interceptions doesn't make them not a good cornerback. To me, Absolutely. A good cornerback is a cornerback that doesn't allow other teams' receivers to get a lot of, catches. It has not. Yep. It's not about the interception, Joey.
Can I have some stats written down for when we talk Eagles Saints, and when I talk, defensive stats, I go to fantasy football like DraftKings, like single game slates, and I know it's fantasy versus real life, but you can get some really important information from defensive rankings on things like DraftKings. And the Eagles' defense is 4th in the league in stopping wide receivers. Okay. That tells you something right there, that our cornerbacks are not giving up touchdowns, big yard plays. You talk about explosive plays for the Eagles offense, Joey. The Eagles defense is not giving up many of those explosive plays. I think that number there, the Eagles ranked 4th against wide receivers, tells a lot about Darius Slay, Vontae Maddox, and even Steven Nelson. I know Steven Nelson is getting some flack as being like the 3rd best of the 3 right now, or, not performing up to, an outside corner, level. But I mean, 4th is 4th. I mean, that's
play Steve Nelson in
good right
coverage and watch him do well. Like that.
Exactly.
That's what it like. He's not doing well, but he's also not doing what he does best, which is make
exactly. So,
but
Joey,
we're also giving up 75% of passes. So
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, I echo what both of you guys just said there. I think honestly, I think Avonte Maddox is the best slot corner in the NFL. I'll go that out far to say that. And guys, this isn't 1990s or early 2000s NFL anymore. This is 2021. Teams are putting their best playmakers, wide receivers, tight ends in the slot nowadays to create matchups. You need a slot / nickel corner like you need a starting corner. I harken back to the days of Al Harris, Brandon Boykin, even Patrick Robinson during a Super Bowl run. You need a slot receiver. We see Keenan Allen, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, just to name a few of guys that are constantly lining up in the slot and doing damage. Because you know what? As good as outside corners are, they have that sideline as their best friend, as an extra defender. When you're inside in the slot, they can go left, right, up, down, wherever. You are on your own island in the middle of the field. I know that don't make much sense theoretically, but hear me out.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense to me.
So I think that the nickel / slot corner nowadays in this wide open spread NFL is just as important, if not more, than a starting outside corner because of the mismatches teams try to create on offense in the slot. So sign Avonte Maddox, sign his roommate Dallas Goedert, trending up big time.
All right. So real quick, the next one I want to go to, not real quick, because this is one of the ones I think is really important, and that's the wide receiver room. Devontae Smith is not trending up. Devontae Smith has already proven that he's an elite, just like Terry said, he's an elite wide receiver one in the NFL for a rookie. He's going to prove me wrong, Jason. I know you were on one of my preseason shows where you said that Devontae Smith was going to break the Deshaun Jackson rookie receiving record, and even with the 17th game, didn't think he would do it. He's going to do it. As long as he stays healthy, he is going to.
I should have bet on that, right?
What's that?
I should have bet on that like you bet on
You should have bet that, You should have. But I think the wide receivers as a whole are trending down. Obviously, Jalen Reagor, just like Jonathan Gannon, can't trend any further down than he already has. For as many snaps and the percentage of snaps he plays, I mean, the guy's just, not doing anything for a first-round pick. And Quez Watkins, in my opinion, and I'm not just going to say because he dropped that big touchdown pass, that bomb from Jalen Hurts, is he really doing much with his opportunities? And I know we're not throwing the ball much nowadays in the last few games, but Quez Watkins, I think we may have jumped the gun, anointing him this superstar speed elite wide receiver. I still want to see a little bit more out of Quez Watkins. You guys' thoughts on that? Joey, if you want to go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Phil, the way you worded it, you said position group, right?
Mm-hmm.
You said group as a whole.
Because there's Devontae Smith, and then there's everybody else.
So think about this. We lost our best running back from the running back position group room. And did we really skip a beat?
That's the next topic is the running back room.
We lost one of our best. We lost one of our best offensive linemen in Brandon Brooks. Did we really skip a beat? No. But I'm asking you guys this right now. If we lose Devontae Smith, you really think this offense can be successful going out there with Greg Ward, Quez Watkins, and Jalen Reagor as your three receivers? It's the worst receiving group in the NFL at that point, besides maybe the Detroit Lions. But my point is, Devontae Smith is carrying this by himself. So, yeah, to answer your question, it is trending down in that capacity. The free agent class for this offseason for wide receivers is loaded and stacked. And thank God, because it's not that good of a rookie class from the wide receiver position if you're looking.
And I wouldn't want them drafting a wide receiver in the draft anyway, even if there was.
No, and I wouldn't want to either because we have so many young guys.
I'm focusing on wide receivers and free agents, whether the class is good or not. There's some, not elite, but there's some elite. And, and even below the elite level of the Devontae Adams, the Allen Robinsons, there's some really good second-tier guys that we can afford, and that would come here for a trending up team.
We don't have a Robin on this roster right now to Devontae Smith's Batman. We don't have a Robin. We don't have his sidekick out there. Dallas Goedert's a tight end, so we're going to leave him out of this conversation. But just to answer your question, Phil, wide receiver room specifically, without Devontae Smith, this is a bottom 2-3 position group in the league. So we definitely need that Robin. We definitely need that other alpha guy to come in there because it's bad. So I'd say trending down on them.
Yeah. I had a guy a couple of weeks ago on one of my shows. He's an agent or a player that the Pro Level Sports Agency, a group that I work with, Daryl Adams. He played Division II football, and he's from the West Coast. He's playing in Europe and in some indoor leagues right now, trying to get his shot with an NFL team. And he's a 6'3", big-bodied wide receiver. And I brought it up specifically. He's not an Eagles fan, But I brought up the Eagles situation. He's like, you can't have 3 guys that are all small and fast. You need that big-bodied wide receiver that can get that 50-50 ball, that can line up in the slot if you need him to, outside, whatever it takes. And the Eagles not having that is hurting their passing game. And that's, from a guy that's got NFL, hopes and dreams that, if it wasn't for COVID and some injuries, may have actually been on a team already. Him saying that kind of reinforces what we all think and know as just fans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Jake?
100%.
No, it's funny you mentioned that because right when everybody jumped in was like, well, I don't want them drafting a wide receiver. I don't want them drafting a wide receiver unless it's an X wide receiver. Like unless it's somebody that like Dallas Goedert and like Zach Ertz, we weren't necessarily targeting a tight end, but Zach Ertz fell to well past where we thought he would. They had to take him. At the time we had Brent Selleck. Dallas Goedert fell to where we didn't think he would fall. We had to take him, even though at the time we had Zach Ertz. So if they have some kind of X wide receiver fall to their second round pick, I'm all on board on taking him, depending on who else is there. Anyway, we can talk draft in the offseason. I'm going to live and die on the Jalen Reagor Hill. He's being completely utilized in the wrong way. You finally saw him getting utilized in some jet sweeps and using him.
He was like minus 8 yards rushing last week, wasn't he?
Yeah, minus 8 yards rushing. Yep, that's a great stat. Had that one
really support your theory.
Had that one sitting there. But no, I've been screaming ever since week 15 of last season that he needs to be used like a Curtis Samuel. He needs to be used as get 4 carries a game, just be like in jet sweep, not any kind of standing behind the quarterback formation or anything. But everything Joey said is also accurate. Just with the current situation and how it's playing out, we lose Devontae Smith. We're a bottom 3 wide receiver group in the NFL. My only argument is I am a Jalen Hurts guy, but we talk about it a lot. Even if we did draft Justin Jefferson specifically last season, would he have had any kind of success like he had in Minnesota if he was on the Eagles? Nobody can say for certain. I would say probably not. We're not in a situation.
We could have a totally different story with Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts and everything else, though. It could have totally changed the whole course of the franchise.
You definitely could. And look, if they traded, the rumor was Atlanta wanted the second round pick and to move back to what would they pick 21st for them to trade up to get CeeDee Lamb. So then you have a better wide receiver and you don't even have the pick to use on Hurts. So you can play what ifs all day long, but no, it's easy. Pump the brakes. We're trending down. Devontae Smith's the only true NFL wide receiver on this team right now. But Jalen Reagor, keep an eye on him. He might be very good.
I will never agree on the Jalen Reagor thing because I said it after draft. I read.
Yeah, but you're a big J-Jaw guy too.
I'm not a. Hold on, that is totally misconstrued. I am not.
He's supposed to be the X. He was supposed to be the X.
I am not a J-Jaw guy. I became a J-Jaw guy to prove a point that Howie Roseman does not give up on draft picks easily. That's why I'm not a Jalen Reagor guy. Jalen Reagor will be on this team next year unless somebody offers us an amazing trade package to take him off our hands. Howie Roseman will not give up on first and second round picks very easily. And that was my point with J-Jaw. He was going to be on this team because he was a second round pick and Howie Roseman was not going to give up on him before his third year. Now, next year is a totally different story. After the third year, you can get out of those contracts a lot easier. J-Jaw won't be here, but Reagor will be here next year because, again, first-round pick that should have never been a first-round pick. Howie won't give up on that very easily at all.
J-Jaw is a special teams ace, too. So,
well, yeah. Man, you sound worse than I do talking J-Jaw. Jason, Jalen Reagor, the Eagles wide receiver, Quez Watkins, any of them.
Well, I mean, we could all play revisionist history and rehash, the horrible drafts of, Howie going, J-Jaw over DK Metcalf, and then coming back the following year and going Jalen Reagor over either CeeDee Lamb or Justin Jefferson. They could have had either one. So we could sit here and do that. We could have 3 shows on just that.
Yep, absolutely.
The bottom line is I can't fault Jalen Reagor and hate Jalen Reagor for being what he's not.
Jalen Reagors.
I'm sorry?
I said 2. I was mumbling. Wow, 2 pro Jalen Reagors here.
No. I'm not pro Jalen Reagor, but what I'm getting at is I can't hate on the guy for being something that he's not. everybody expects Jalen Reagor to be, worthy of a number one receiver. And I don't think he ever was worthy of that pick.
Mhm.
That's part of the problem. A lot of people's expectations are, you were drafted as a first round pick. That's how you have to play. And unfortunately, Jalen Reagor, to me, I didn't ever think he was worthy of being a first round pick. Do I think Jalen Reagor could be a complimentary wide receiver maybe a year or two down the line if he gets his head out of his ass and practices better? And, I hear that they're not using him properly. But the bottom line is the guy just, to me, even if you're not being used properly, catch the ball. I mean, he drops every pass that comes his way. I tend to say that this wide receiver group, I can't disagree with either of you. It's trending down, and obviously Devontae Smith makes it a whole lot better. If you didn't have Devontae Smith, we'd be screwed. Yeah. So
I don't think Jalen Reagor's dropping as many passes this year as he has in the past. And I know that was an issue coming out of college was the drops. And, everyone used to say, well, he didn't catch as many balls as targets because he had a bad quarterback in college. Well, we're kind of seeing that in the NFL as well. Real quick, we do have a question from Richard here. He wants to know, do the Eagles give Jalen Hurts a contract extension? I would say there's no way that they give him one anytime this year or in the offseason, unless he goes on some magical run, takes us to the Super Bowl or something like that, that there's no way that they give him an extension now.
No.
But will say this, unless my pipe dream of Russell Wilson coming to Philly happens, which is a pipe dream, Jalen Hurts is our starting quarterback in 2022. So he's going to have the rest of this year and next year to prove himself worthy of that next contract, but it's going to take all of this year and into next year before he can prove that. You guys agree or just
about his whole rookie contract? You have that luxury of keeping him on a very cheap salary.
And then you got the franchise tags. You can keep him around and learn for a long time. Although the franchise tag for quarterbacks gets really pricey, but
Also, Jason, Mike Williams was a bust until this season, so Jalen Reagor could be.
Oh my God, back to Jalen Reagor.
No, Jake, I get it. I know. I actually
he's on the Jalen Reagor train like you were on the anti-Bryce Harper train.
Well, we won't.
So if you jinxed Bryce Harper to be good, he might be jinxing Jalen Reagor to be even worse now. Man, can he get any worse? Oh man,
careful.
He's an Eagle. It can always get worse.
It can always get worse. All right. I got to get into one other trend really quickly because we haven't even talked about Eagles Saints yet. And we're already at the 47-minute mark here. The running back room. And this is specifically at Jake. I know he put out a poll today about Miles Sanders returning either this week or next week. So the running back room has to be trending upward. We can all agree on that, right? Shake your head. Yes, we all agree. Trending upward. Jordan Howard, Boston Scott, getting Miles Sanders back obviously makes them even better. In my opinion, Kenneth Gainwell kind of takes a back seat to the fourth spot, in my opinion, at this point. But Jake, come on. You had to know don't dress and healthy scratch Miles Sanders. You'd have one or two trolls voting that. And I just, it bugged me so much today because normally I would think it's a troll voting that. But sometimes I kind of feel like some people actually truly believe that Miles Sanders shouldn't even be dressed, even if he's healthy, for the Eagles coming up here.
No, you listen to the midday show on 94 WIP. I forget if it's Joe or John, but one of them is saying they shouldn't even dress him. Don't mess with the mojo.
You actually heard that on the radio
from the host.
That is why, that is reason 101 why I don't watch those shows, because of comments like that.
No, it's and they try to justify it, and it's just silly. Nick Sirianni put the whole thing to bed today when he said, "Look, if Miles Sanders is healthy and ready to go, he's our starter, as he should be." Oh my God. He really should.
Boston Scott should be the starter. No, get that out of here. Stop.
Even if Miles is hurt, Boston Scott shouldn't be the starter. He's just not built for that. He's great at what he does, and just keep letting him do that. Don't try to expand his role. Look, that doesn't mean a lot of people think Miles Sanders as a starter means that it's going to be like Derrick Henry and the Titans. He had something like at the point he got injured, he had like 242 carries, and all of the rest of their running backs combined had 11. Like, no, that doesn't mean that. Like, that just means he's the first guy on the field. Probably will get a bulk of the carries.
But look what happened when Miles Sanders was playing. I mean, he had 3 carries the one game. Like, bingo. Like, just because he's the starter doesn't mean that you go away from, using Jordan Howard. and using Kenneth Gainwell. I agree with you, Jake. I think you're 100% spot on. I think you have to bring Miles Sanders back. He's your best. He's your most explosive running back on the team.
Yeah.
We all agree with that, right?
Two biggest things I think for Miles Sanders is the fact that they're going away from the RPO and they're going more towards plays from under center. Because when you running from the shotgun, you have to watch and see what kind of pressure is coming and where it's coming from to dictate where you're going to be deciding to run. When you're running a run play from under center, you already have that full head of steam and you have those 2-3 steps to see where that pressure is coming from before you get the ball. So you already have in your mind, okay, as soon as I get the ball, I'm going to the left. I'm going to the right.
What you're saying is bringing up bad memories of D'Amico Ryan getting handed the ball out of shotgun and not having that, or DeMarco Murray. Sorry,
DeMarco Ryan. We got
DeMarco Ryan. DeMarco Murray. I saw the look at your face. I'm like, yeah, I caught myself there. DeMarco Murray, getting the ball out of shotgun and not having that head of steam, and Chip Kelly ruining that whole situation. So, Joey, you watch a lot of film and stuff like that really quickly. So we have a 3-headed monster right now. Miles Sanders coming back. We technically have 4 running backs that want the ball. Is there a theory that having too many guys in the rotation, don't running backs need to get into a little bit of a rhythm? I'm old school. I say you got to hand the ball to one guy 20, 25 times so they can get into a rhythm in the backfield. If you have 30 run plays a game and you're giving Boston Scott 12, you're giving Jordan Howard 12, Miles Sanders 13 or 14, Kenneth Gainwell 2 or 3 to get him his touches. Nobody's going to get into a real rhythm in that backfield, right?
No, I agree with you. I think you do need to get into a rhythm as a running back because you have to have a feel for it. But I'll be honest, and people may not like this because I love the guy. Not worried about Kenny Gainwell getting his touches. I'm really not. I'll be 100% honest with you. I don't care. I think it's Miles as a starter, and that's the way it will be. But something to allude to what Jason said, just because Miles is a starter doesn't mean Jordan Howard's not going to get his touches. I think Jordan Howard's shown that on 3rd and 1, 2nd and short, inside the 5-yard line, goal-to-go situations. We put Jordan Howard in there over Miles Sanders, and we're not even going to worry about it. He's a bigger back. He always falls forward. He does all that. So I think you ride the hot hand. You start Miles with this new run-first scheme. He's probably going to get hot. He's probably going to get going. And if the run game is going, you don't have to worry about getting Boston Scott his touches or Jordan Howard his touches. They'll come. They'll come as we're running the ball. And Miles is probably going to need a breather. And when he does, boom, you have fresh guys in there. So I really think it's going to be a good rotation, a good system. I think Kenny Gainwell is the odd man out, and I'm honestly not worried about that because I think he's a rookie. He's on a 4-year contract. He has time to grow in this offense. So I think it'll be a 3-headed attack with mainly Miles starting and Jordan Howard being short yardage guy.
I almost think that even Boston Scott's touches will come down a little bit because Boston Scott doesn't need 12, 14 carries a game. Give him the ball 4 or 5 times, have him, on 3rd downs, in the backfield screen plays. I think it's Miles Sanders getting 15, 16 touches, Jordan Howard 10 or 12. I think that's a good start for a running game, and then you see how the game plan plays out. All right, I think we agreed a lot more than I thought we would today. That's good. And I didn't even mention T-shirt gate once, other than just now. Eagles, Saints, big game, week 11. Haven't won, like we said earlier in the show, at the Linc. We can start with Jake if you want to go first. If you had to give me the keys for the Eagles to actually get their first win at the Linc this week, what would you have to say about it? What would you point to that one key?
Jonathan Gannon. I mean, that's what it all comes down to. Phil, I know you were at the same game I was, the Eagles-Chargers game the last time there at the Linc. That stadium was rocking early on, and Jonathan Gannon turned on the vacuum himself and sucked the life out of that stadium with his play calling. Everybody there wanted to be as loud and energetic as possible, but we physically felt, I know me and you were, but I know the people around me physically felt like, well, why are we going to screen? Like they're playing cover 2, deep shell,
just real quick on to touch on that point about the crowd. I had friends that I didn't even know were going to be there. They were sitting 2 rows behind me. They're not super Eagles fans, but they're Eagles fans. They're football fans. They're going to games fans. They left after halftime because they said they go to 2 or 3 games a year. And they said this was the deadest crowd at halftime at the beginning of the 3rd quarter that they had ever seen. Yeah. And they're like, we're bored. And they got up and they left.
And it was a competitive game all the way to the last second. And that just shows what Jonathan Gannon and his completely pacifist defense can do. So if he decides that Trevor Siemian isn't scary, which he's not, and he decides, okay, we can blitz, we can press up our cornerbacks on their wide receivers. I mean, who do they have? Callaway, Kamara is questionable. Taji Sharp. Like who scares you out there? Adam Troutman? Like, come on. Like, press up on these guys. Try and get Simeon off his spot. He's a backup for a reason. Get him to throw a ball off balance and let Darius big play Slay. Let that thing dangle. Just go out there and play.
I like it. I like that key. Jason, do you have a key for the game?
I mean, my key would be, man, Jake just stole my thunder, but
I'm sorry. I was glad he let me go first. I knew somebody was going to say it.
Yeah, that's why I write down 3 keys when I do this, just so I have a potential backup plan.
Well, I'll go more like in depth. Like he said, Jonathan Gannon, but I think the key is obviously if he plays, stop Kamara.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, Kamara to me is the Saints right now because Michael Thomas is out for the year. He's not playing.
Mm-hmm.
Jameis Winston was a much better quarterback than Trevor Siemian. He's out. So basically, I agree with Jake. It's Trevor Siemian thrown to a bunch of practice squad wide receivers. However, my concern is a Jonathan Gannon feeds into that kind of an offense because he'll let them stay in the game. And these are the kind of games that concern me when it comes to Jonathan Gannon, because the Eagles will kind of underperform, and that it's not going to be the offense that's going to let this team down. It's going to be the defense. So, yeah, that is the key, and I am concerned.
All right, just so you know, Kamara is, compared to last week, I just went online and looked it up. He's still not for sure playing. He's still questionable. But last week he didn't play, and he didn't practice at all. He did practice limited today, and they're expecting that to continue to progress the next couple of days. So there is a chance that Kamara plays. So shutting down Kamara is obviously a huge key there. It's great. Joey?
That's literally the only answer for me. It's Alvin. It's Alvin Kamara. If he plays, he literally is the only key to this game that the Eagles could lose. I mean, you guys just both touched on it. I'm not having Trevor Siemian come in here, throw into Traquan Smith, Nick Vannett, Marquez Callaway.
Who?
Those guys are not beating me. Those guys are not beating me. We just talked about the Eagles receiver room if they didn't have Devontae Smith and all the injuries that we had. Those guys cannot beat you. You double, triple, do whatever you have to do with Kamara. And the other thing that I'll say is assignment football. And what I mean about that is Sean Payton and his coaching staff love to pull out a trick play whenever their numbers are down, whether it be starters out, whether it be a close game, whether it be that things aren't going their way, they need to manufacture some offense. They love pulling out a trick play. So if you say play sound assignment football and just trust your guys and trust your keys to win their individual matchups, I think you can't get beat with a trick play. So Kamara, and play sound. That's it.
All right. I like that. That's a really good.
Disciplined.
Yeah, discipline. So I got three different things written down here. One, you guys semi-touched on, the other two not. But they're all kind of linked to it. I wrote down first, pressure Trevor Siemian. Because even if you don't get home with the sacks, if you got a hand in his face, we kept talking, I don't know about you guys, but on all our shows on DSM, we kept talking about how Teddy Bridgewater was going to look like Joe Montana last week. He didn't. I mean, he still completed a little over 60%. Getting hands up in his face, just getting a little bit of pressure, knocks those rhythm dink and dunk quarterbacks off their game. So if we can continue to get some pressure, even if it's not getting home, get your arms up. I think that's huge and a big deal. Time of possession. My two keys last week are going to be the same this week. Time of possession. Time of possession this week is very key for Alvin Kamara. If we hold the ball and control the ball, then Alvin Kamara is not on the field to potentially beat us. He's not going to have that 150 all-purpose yard game if he's not on the field. So I think time of possession, we were dominating time of possession last week in the first half. Third quarter kind of evened out a little bit. We won it by a few minutes last week. And the other thing is the turnover battle. We are not a good team at turnovers at all. If Alvin Kamara's out there, if Alvin Kamara's getting his touches, you get some pressure in Trevor Siemian's face, he's obviously a guy that can turn the ball over, throw a pick, whatever it may be, fumble on a snap or on a sack, whatever it is. We need to win the turnover battle. It was 1-1 last week. I kind of say we won the turnover battle because I'm counting the blocked field goal by Kayvon Wallace as a turnover in my mind. But those little things like that, a turnover, a blocked field goal, whatever, could just suck the life out of a team like the Saints that are trying to hang in there without a quarterback right now. So, they're my keys. Turnovers, time of possession, and get your hands in Trevor Siemian's face. And like you guys said, stop Alvin Kamara. I love it.
No, certainly.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
All right. We'll start with you guys. Do you guys got predictions for the game? Are you guys too early in the week to make a prediction?
Never too early.
Never too early to make a prediction. All right, Joey, you said never. So what's your prediction for the game?
You know what? Before last week, after the Chargers game, before the Broncos game, I said to myself, I am not going to pick this Philadelphia Eagles team in any game going forward because I don't trust them. And it's simply because of JG, Jonathan Gannon.
Mm-hmm.
But
JG.
I'm a sucker, like all Eagles fans are. I'm a creature of living in the moment. So I'm thinking we ride this wave. I'm looking at the schedule the rest of the year, and it adds up favorably. Again, I don't think you can allow Trevor Siemian to come into Lincoln Financial Field, even though we haven't won, to come into the Linc when the turning point in the season is here for the playoffs and win. So that being said, I'm going to go the Eagles in a low-scoring game. I'm going to go Eagles 23, Saints 17.
23 said really low scoring. Jeremy, my co-host on the Training in the AM, says this is also a team that came in and beat Brady with Siemian and just barely lost to the Titans. And he's a little worried about it. So I'll get his prediction on Friday on the game. But just a little food for thought for anybody that is thinking against picking the Eagles and everything or picking against the Saints. Jake, predictions for Sunday.
It's probably going to change by our preview episode. We should.
Once you say it here, it cannot change.
That's fair. That's true. We should win. We match up better. We're at home. But we lose 23-21.
Wow.
I mean, it's just one of those games that Jonathan Gannon proves more and more that he should be fired mid-season.
Have a late lead, and Jonathan Gannon's defense gives up a 17-minute drive to end the game, and they kick a winning field goal or something.
Yeah, or even we have it like at that same score, and all we had to do is get the ball back and get in field goal range for Jake Elliott to kick a game winner, and we never get the opportunity.
Yeah, it's kind of like that was so deflating. That entire drive against the Chargers, you were there, Jake. It just that
over
whole
6
drive,
minutes. Over 6 minutes.
I just kept watching I'm sitting there with my buddy Jeff, just watching the game. We're like, dude, just get the ball back one time, just one time.
Psych, I'm just messing with you. 27-20 birds all day. Come on.
You changed it already.
Let's go.
And you got sound effects and everything. I need to see.
Wow.
Jason.
That was cool.
I know.
Dude, you just
Jason can't even give a prediction because he's stunned by your sound box there.
You just punked DSN. No. Well,
what?
I thought I was gonna have somebody actually agreeing with me because unfortunately, I am so concerned about this Eagles defense. And I believe that the Saints their defense is actually sneaky good. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers, but they still have a pretty good defense. I don't know.
First against the rush.
It's not even sneaky. It's just
so here just so you know, in fantasy purposes, so these are skewed. These aren't exact numbers to real NFL, but fantasy-wise, they're the 6th ranked defense, okay? They're 13th ranked against stopping quarterbacks, first stopping the run. They give up a ton to wide receivers, 28th against stopping wide receivers, and they're 8th against the against tight ends. So they're a sneaky good defense for sure. The way to beat this team is not running the ball; it's passing the ball, and that's the concern.
and that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I kind of been on the fence, but I have the Eagles losing and 20-17.
20-17 loss. All right. So as always,
I don't like to pick against the Eagles, but I have to be what I feel, and I just.
At every stage of the season, after 4 games, after 6 games, after 8 games, I've been right with where the Eagles' record was going to be. I had them at 4-6 at this point, okay, but I also had them losing. They losing their 6th game to the Broncos, and then I had them winning this game against the Saints. But I also didn't think they'd be over at the Linc at this point. So I wrote down the same score 3 times: 27-24, 27-24, 27-24, and I didn't know whether I was going to pick the Eagles or the Saints. But you guys saying it over and over again. Joe, you said it. We've all said it. There's no way they lose another game at the Linc. They just can't. No Eagles team, except for some of the most god-awful, worst of all time. I don't even know how many times it's happened. They just don't go over at the Linc. No. They've got to get off the snide this week. So I'm going Eagles 27, Saints 24, and maybe, just maybe, it plays out the way I think that we give up that 24th point on a touchdown late in the game, and we do get the ball back with 2 minutes or less to go, and Jalen Hurts continues that upward trend with Nick Sirianni and Devontae Smith, and we win. Which a little
if we give up 24 points at home to Trevor Siemian, we're going to be having another podcast. That's
absolutely. I'm going to give a little tidbit, a side note on this. This is me assuming that Dallas Goedert is going to clear concussion protocol, because we didn't even touch on that. Without Dallas Goedert, our offense takes a major backseat because we need him. So
you got Tyree Jackson.
You don't trust Jackie Stoll?
Jackie Stoll, Tyree Jackson.
Who?
Jalen Rager.
No.
Sirianni
No, I do not trust
any
any of them. No. Dallas Goedert is a key. We need him to play. We didn't even touch on that tonight. So, all right, let's wrap this show up here. I know it's getting late for you guys out there, or it's just getting started tonight. Who knows? Joey and Jake from Talking 215, real quick, tell us all about Talking 215, when your next show is, and where everybody can find you guys on social media.
Well, we're hoping Jason is available tomorrow night for our Bryce Harper MVP episode, and Zach Wheeler second place in the Cy Young. Congratulations, Zach, should have won. But no, we're doing an episode tomorrow. It's still up in the air whether we're gonna do it live or not. We're gonna make that announcement sometime tomorrow. Preview episodes coming out Friday that will be live, and also on Friday, I know both of you are entered, so who knows? Maybe this will be getting sent to one of y'all. But we've got the autographed.
I know.
There it is.
I forgot about it, and I saw the front of the jersey. I'm like, you guys are giving away a Marcus Epps jersey?
Oh, what? Yeah. We got the autographed Asante Samuel jersey giveaway going on now. Drawing is on Friday.
You happen to go to one of the finest colleges in this country, just to let you guys know at home. So there you have it. Asante Samuel autographed jersey giveaway.
I love it.
Oh, yeah. And if you heard any...
it would look really good in between the Dallas Goedert and Lane Johnson jersey.
Give us a like, give us a follow, Phil, and then tag
he's already got all the entries. So drawing is on Friday.
I should be qualified. You know, you should probably take me out of the equation.
Create some Kevin Durant burner accounts.
Okay,
and just tag some.
I have like 17 of them. I've entered 17 times now.
And so if everybody's listening to DSM Media, they obviously do a phenomenal job. If you liked what Coach Joey had to say, just come on and listen to Coach Joey on over with us.
Guys, we have sound effects on our podcast.
I love it.
There's no other reason to tune in.
I'm a cheap man. This laptop I use right now is literally like 7 years old. And my mic's like $18 from I don't even know where. Some discount store.
But you look a lot better than both of us. So.
No, that is so not true. You guys with those muscles hanging out there, I love it.
I'm just glad the camera's up high, so I'm hiding the old
man. Hey, DSM, we love Talking 215. You guys are doing a great job. I greatly appreciate it. Jason, I know you're coming on my morning show tomorrow for your weekly segment, What's Up with the Flyers, trending in the AM at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You'll be on. But what else? When's the next Sports and Metal podcast? And when's the next Drunk on Ice podcast coming out?
So generally, we always had Drunk on Ice on Thursdays, but with the Flyers playing tomorrow, we've flipped it to Friday. Okay. So the next Drunk on Ice is actually Friday, and it's at 9 o'clock.
Okay. And you have a really good guest on your next Sports and Metal podcast, right? I didn't write the name down. I remember seeing the post, but I forget the name now.
So tomorrow we have, obviously Sports and Metal, and that's at 8 o'clock. And we actually have Steven Desco. For those of you that don't know who he is, he's Philadelphia's version of Ozzy Osbourne. The guy looks and sounds exactly like Ozzy Osbourne. He's in an Ozzy tribute band. He actually is in a Dio tribute band as well. So he's going to be on our show. And folks, he's giving away 2 pairs of tickets to 2 shows.
Wow.
Free.
That's a lot of tickets given away.
You may want to jump on just if you like metal and you're a fan of Ozzy and you like Black Sabbath, because his other band is a Sabbath band called Just Sabbath. So, like I said, nice. 8 o'clock, he'll be on our show. We'll be talking with him. He's actually a sports fan too, so awesome. We'll shoot the shit, about that too. So
awesome. All right. Well, again, Jason, Joey, Jake, thank you guys so much for coming on tomorrow. Trending in the AM, 8:30 a.m. Myself and Jeremy. First half of the show, we've got two of the player reps from Pro Level Sports Agents, Alex Malchal and Vince Sapienza. I got to get their names pronounced properly by tomorrow morning. I'll figure that out. We're going to be talking about, because they represent a lot of great football clients. They're trying to make it into the NFL, and they really they're getting these guys to play in Europe and in indoor leagues because there's lots of great opportunities and outlets to get film on tape. And they specialize in Europe and indoor football league, these two player reps. So we're talking about that. And since they're agents and they deal with player contracts all the time, we're going to close that segment of the show talking Ben Simmons and how if they were his agents, how they would handle that situation and whose fault is the current situation. So we're going to touch on that a little bit tomorrow morning, but make sure you stay tapped into DSM Media for that. And of course, Jason with his Flyers segment of the week. And I'll be live tomorrow night with Detroit Dave, a.k.a. Drew, for the fantasy football show with Jason. Shout out to my boy Jax. Jason's son Jax not feeling too well. He's my only fan out there. And Jax, I know you're not feeling well. You went to the hospital tonight to get some IVs and stuff. I hope you're feeling better, buddy. He's my only fan. So I got to give him a shout out because no one else likes me other than Jax. Again,
We like you.
Yeah, well, you'll say that on the air. Off the air, you'll say some bad words to me. Again, DSM Media Trending for 4 Quarters brought to you by Manscaped. Use promo code TRENDING at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. Clean up. You don't want to look like Jake when you take that shirt off. You just don't. Get your Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0. Trending gets you 20% off. We love it. Thanks to them. And as we end every show, gentlemen, on DSM Media, I don't care if it's a Sixers show, a Phillies show, a Bryce Harper MVP show, we always end it with Go Birds. So go Birds.
Go Birds.
Birds.
Go Birds.